What it do? Moan on the beat down here, Black Liberty Studio with the one and only Schoon to the moon.
Yes, sir.
And you already know what's going down. We here in the DMV and we represent to the fullest. So look, right here, right now, we just dropped our newest project, which is called Retro Soul. And we also just dropped the instrumentals to that project. So it's a 2-part project. We got songs that's going crazy. Ecstasy definitely going crazy. And we also have instrumentals that's a 9-track beat tape. So definitely check that out. It's on Spotify. Click the link in the description and it'll take you straight to both the projects. This right here today, we are working on the track called Pain. Now, Pain is a very interesting song because we've kind of like remade this song many times.
Yeah.
So many times. And it's like people don't really know our origin. So I'm going to keep explaining it until people understand where a lot of the music and our inspiration comes from. So me and Schoon met years ago. I don't know, probably over 15 years ago or something like that. We met in where we're from. There's the hometown music called go-go. And anybody that's in music that was around here had something to do with go-go. Me and Schoon met in the go-go, and we met through one of the board players that was a part of the go-go band. Brought Schoon in. Schoon didn't want to rock at first, then he came on a little bit later, and from that we've been rocking. But there's been a lot of songs we made back then that we thought, you know, if we bring them back, it'll bring more life and it'll bring a different type of flavor, different influence to the music now. And that's what one of these songs was. We did this many times. And Schoon, like, what can you say about Pain from back then to what it is now?
I mean, hearing it evolve. I mean, I remember when it was a sound on the keyboard.
Right.
He was like, bro, what's that?
Yeah.
It had like a little fifth in it. And it came from like those 3 notes.
Exactly.
And you just, you know, did what you did back then. Mom been doing that for a long time.
For real, nah, I ain't gonna lie. That's how I started.
And I mean, just to hear it now, coming from go-go to trying to do it, kind of rap, and now to it what it is now, man. It's phenomenal. I like the journey of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the funny thing with this, John, what we did is we kind of mixed the inspiration for this new Pain. We took a Maxi Priest inspiration, right? Nice. But a lot of people can't get it. Some people say it sound like go-go. Some people say it sound like New Jack.
Right.
We just did our thing. So we mixed everything that we thought we wanted it to be together, and it turned into what it is y'all here today. So this right here is Pain, man. It's track 2 on the Retro Soul project. We love it. I love it. We featuring Ty Young on there. We featuring Disco Fever. We featuring the amazing singer Angie on there. And, you know, we all wrote to it, and it turned out to be a dope project. Check it out, link below. Okay. We just going to get into how we created this track. So before I actually get into how we created, I'm going to play it real quick. I'm going to play a little piece so y'all can hear it. This is the full track. So that's just the premise of the track. So we bring it in with an intro, then it breaks down into the beat, then it goes into the strings that kind of give us some flavor. We run that for about 8 bars, then it go back to the hook. Now the hook is so much pain. I'm not the singer, but that's kind of like the hook. Listen to the track and y'all gonna hear what we talking about. But we really just broke this track down into how we would form what we consider a like a go-go track. But there's different melody elements to that. We start with an intro and then we drop it down. Now the intro was pretty simple on this track. It was just a simple break. Schoon, you're a drummer first before you're a board player. So how would you say this intro? What would you say about this intro?
It's dramatic.
Okay.
You know, I remember when you were saying you wanted an intro to it.
Exactly.
And it was like, you kind of had syncopation already, but you said just put the chords to it. I think it's dope.
I think it's dope too. One of the things y'all didn't hear on here though was a lead. Now y'all know we love leads.
I love the lead.
And There was a lead that was on here that y'all didn't hear, and Schoon gonna play the lead for y'all real quick. Just so, Schoon, let them know what the lead. And the lead is just it gives you a feeling. So when it drops down and it drop out, it's like, whoa, what was that? But then it takes you somewhere and it drop out. So Schoon, let's hear the lead real quick.
I got you.
1, 2, 3, work. Let's slide. So real quick, Schoon, play it without the beat real quick.
My bad.
Schoon messes up sometimes. Give him the lead one more time. Y'all heard it on the beat, y'all heard it off the beat. We use leads to inflict emotion so you can feel it right here. And that's why we love leads. Leads, when we was in the go-go bands, it was full of leads. And that's what really, really made me fall in love with it. It brings that vibe. So that's the intro. So the intro comes in with a nice little break, and then it breaks down into the regular 4-bar to 8-bar progression. It bounces for 4 on some parts, and then it bounces for 8 on other parts. So we're going to get into the main loop. This main loop right here, which was 8 bars, was just an easy, dope chord progression with a simple drum bop. Now, the drum bop was simple. That was the simple drum bop. And a lot of times, all you need is a simple drum bop.
All you need.
Now, once you got a dope drum bop. Let's do that. Let me take this out. So that's kind of like what the drum bop was. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do once you had all we did once we had the drum bop, we added some chords on top of that. And the chords was simple. So Schoon, let's play with the chords real quick for him. And we went with the chords, we went with our simple electric. Y'all know we love the electric. And if you play the chords with the electric, it's going to sound like this. You ready, Schoon?
Yeah, bro.
This was the chord. Play the chords real quick. You see how that's simple, but it got a certain feeling? It kind of take you somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you was to put that on the beat, it'll work. Now, once we got that loop going, got it. So now we got the electric and the drum work. So that gave you a nice little pop. Now, what we did was we added some percussion in there. And the percussion we used on this jump was nothing more than some highs. We actually had highs, and we actually had highs and we had tambourine. And the highs was simple. We just kept it going. And then we doubled it up on some parts. The tambourine, Schoon loves the tambourine.
I love it.
This was a tambourine, and the tambourine was just going in between the it was just going in between the hi-hat. So Schoon, let's give him the
Looking like Brody's.
So let's do the tambourine with the hi-hat. Schoon, let's just bring in the tambourine.
All right.
1, 2, 3, work. So now we got our main bop. That was our main bop. You got the hi-hat, you got your kick, you got your tambourine in there. So now we got a nice little bop. What we also added some congos on here. Now congos was just a different type of percussion that made the whole bop kind of like feel a little better. And it also gave it like an organic feel. I feel like when you put congos in a beat, it gives it more of an organic feel and it stands out a little bit. Let's let them hear what the congos sound like. So the congos, 1, 2, 3, work. So now we got our congos in there. Now the last thing that we put on here, I do this a lot because Scooney always recommends it, is putting a clap on the snare. So it's like when you double up the clap with a snare, it just makes it more impactful. That was the clap. Now, there was also a snare that we put in there that indicates this was done in the New Jack time a lot, and it's kind of like a triple snare. Now the triple snare gives you this kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So once we had that down, we went to the organ. Now the beautiful thing about the organ, it went on top of the electric. So when they came together and we was mixing it, we would sometimes play the electric by itself and we would sometimes play the organ with the electric because it opens it up. Now I'm gonna show y'all what it sounds like without the organ. Now without the organ and just the electric sounds like this. It was pretty dope. So this is what it sounds like without the organ, and then Schoon, I'm gonna have you just come in with the organ. All right? Yeah. So without the organ was this. You feel me? You get your lyrics off right here. So when you put the organ on it now, this is what the organ is. You hear that? Open it up. So that's the organ on top of it. So now those things together sound dope. So now you got your bop. You know what I'm saying? So that was the bop right there. Now, what we did to intensify the bop, we added strings. Now, the string, let's go and talk about these strings, because this was your genius.
Well, you know, the Moxie Priest vibes, man. They had them Arco strings, and they just jam them straight on the 2 and 4.
So what they call?
Arco strings, yeah.
Let's hear it.
You know what I'm saying?
Fine. Beat. Now, you see how when you build up on the track, it makes it bigger and bigger, but it also takes you through different places. Because when you don't have the strings in there, it sounds like one way. When you bring the strings back, when you bring the strings in, it sounds like it's going in another direction, but it almost uplifts it. So I always tell people, man, it's cool to have a 4-bar, 8-bar loop that repeats itself, but what's even better is when you take it on a journey through songs that come in and out, the real mixing that highlights a certain part of the song that makes you might be on the road, but when this other part come on, you might go through the forest. You dig what I'm saying? So it tells the story. So that was the strings right there. So after we had those sounds locked in, that was all for the verses. Now when the hook came in, we like to differentiate the verses and the hooks. Now, Schoon came up with this brilliant idea to use this one sound. When I heard it, I went crazy. Schoon, talk about the fifth.
Well, fifth is basically just a lead with a fifth in it, which means the 1, 3, and the 5 triads, get the chorus. So it's like all I was doing was playing the roots. So much pain. You know what I'm saying? I was just going back and forth. It was just mimicking the hook, which was so much pain.
Let's hear it. 1, 2, 3, work. Now we always put a new sound in the hook because we want to bring life to the hook. We want it to rise. And that's always a dope thing to do. When your hooks come in, bring in a sound that's going to differentiate it from the verses because it's going to add an extra layer of excitement to it. That's what we like to do. So that was the first verse into the hook. The second verse was similar as it relates to the electric and as it relates to the organ. Now, after the second verse, we went straight to a bridge. Now the bridge was pretty interesting because it was we switched up the drums and we switched up the one of the sounds. You didn't really think it was going to come in how it came in, and this is how it came in. So after we did the hook, the second verse was similar to the first verse as it relates to the electric piano and as it relates to the organ. So as we ended this out, we had a bridge that went into an outro break. Now, the beginning of the bridge went something like this. It was super dope and it's fly. You ready, Schoon?
Yeah, bro.
1, 2, 3, work.
Sound is dope.
So that was the foundation right there. The next thing we had these kind of like mallets, marimba, however you want to say it. Kalimba. And it gave this, I don't know, this sound is like super catchy. And it rings in your ear. Let's hear it real quick. It's going 1, 2, 3, work. And then it went and broke into the outro. Now the last thing that was on this part right here that really brought it up was the bass. Now the bass was Schoon loves to do these elaborate bass lines.
Elaborate, bro.
Yeah, it was very elaborate, but it was a dope elaborate. And it you know, he always freestyles and I love it because it gives you this old school vibe with a new school twist. So this is what it sounds like with the drum work. Alright, bass. So the next part was the cherry on top, which was the outro. Now the outro was similar to the intro in the fact that it came in with a lead, but the lead we replaced with a string.
Right.
And that was the cherry on top, man. The strings were the cherry on top. And that was the complete version of Pain. Make sure y'all check out the track. You do not want to miss everything that we got coming out. So also put your email link below where it says email to get all of our projects that we got coming out. Again, this is Pain. It was on the Retro Soul project. It dropped. We have a full song to it, and we also got the instrumental on the instrumental part of the project.